Hello and welcome to MCC TV International Show. My name is John Dabeet. I'm the Business Department Coordinator and also I host this show. As we always say, every show is a special one because every show we bring a special guest to share a story with us. But before really we start with our guest today, I would like definitely to thank Chad Bishop, our producers of this show, because he decided to experiment different things and different approaches to our show today. So thank you, Chad. I'm sure our audience is gonna like all the changes too. So on today's show, my president, Dr. Naomi DeWinter, our MCC president, will be our special guest. Welcome, Naomi.
Thank you. It's
Yeah.
nice to be back. I know I've interviewed not many years ago, but a few years ago with you.
Well, very happy to have you on our show again today, talking about the 90-year celebration of Muscatine Community
Yes,
College.
yes.
So just to start the show by, if it's possible, asking you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Yes, you bet. And thank you for inviting me for the big experimental show today.
It will be
As
a
you
great
said.
one.
Yes,
It will be a great
I have
one.
no doubt about it, yes. So I have been here at Muscatine Community College since August of 2015. And I moved here after having worked at a community college, a little bit larger than this one, in northern Michigan. And much of my experience came as the Vice President of Student Affairs, Student Services, and so I really bring that knowledge to the work that I do today. It's been a great pleasure to be and live in Muscatine, to work at the college here. The long history and the traditions are a couple of the things that really drew me to this area. The partnerships that have been long-standing in the community with businesses, the partnerships with organizations such as Sister Cities, of course, that you know about, John, the partnerships with the schools, that has been a consistent theme throughout the 90 years. And so I'm happy to be the 10th president of Muscatine Community College this year.
We're very happy to have you with us too. I want to just start the discussion by saying, okay, well, if you go back to your first day as a president of Muscatine Community College, and today, throughout this, I would say small number of years, can you tell us, for example, what would be one or two things that you are very, very proud of as being a president of MCC? I mean, throughout those small number of years.
Yes, yes. One of the things I remember the walk up to Strand Hall from my car, and you don't, often have the opportunity to start a new job, right, that many times in your career. So I remember that distinctly, thinking, what am I going to walk into? Who am I going to work with? You take a chance when you take on a new job. These are
Yes.
things that you just have to trust. And I met people like Lisa Weigel, and Julie Lloyd was working at the time. Rick Boyer, was waiting for me in that front office. And some of the things that we really wanted to work on, and I think we've been able to accomplish a few of those already, is to match the pride that you see in students and in alumni that they feel for Muscatine Community College in the facilities that we have. I felt that I noticed a mismatch there. There was such a big feeling of pride, but some of the facilities we hadn't really been able to pay attention to. So we wanted facilities that when students came onto campus, they could say, yes, I am a student here, and see what I have access to. And that was really our thinking when we renovated Loper Hall. And Loper Hall, of course, is named after Jim Loper, who was one of the very first presidents of Muscatine Community College. And he had a tenure of about 20 years, I believe. He also worked then to begin the foundation for Muscatine Community College. So he had two roles, and his name is known throughout the community. But what we did there was to make spaces that students would want to spend time in, would want to collaborate in, make spaces for faculty that they felt proud of and that they could do their best work, that technology really matched what we knew we wanted our students to experience. So those are the kind of filters, I think, that we brought to the work to really make the campus bring that up to the speed and to the pride level that you already felt in the community.
And to be honest with you, and it did happen in a very short period of time since you became the president. So thank you, because you came definitely to MCC with a great vision. And we as faculty here also at MCC, we are seeing that. And so I would like to say thank you for doing that too. So I know that students always number one in your mind. Tell us, because you mentioned that you came from different college and you used to be more like on the student side of that college. So is it because your previous job trained you to be putting students first, or because Naomi DeWinter always look at the student and say, if that student is not here, we will not be here. So tell us something about that.
Well, I guess I would like to take credit that it's, my personality, but I think it's more the experiences that I've had and the wonderful mentors that have taught me the importance of students along the way. I also teach in a graduate level class. In fact, I just graded my final paper yesterday. And we teach a class called The Culture of Student Success. And in that, we learn about how important it is to pay attention to national policy and regional policy and all of those things that other community colleges are doing and doing very well. But we have to always stay in touch with our own students because they are unique and they can provide better information than anything that I'm going to read about in any, article. And so what I have done to really stay in touch with students at Muscatine Community College is to attend events. I think that's a wonderful way, not just to show my support for them, but to learn about what's important to them and how I can help them further with resources that we can pull together within the college or within the community. We have made concerts and different performances special by offering receptions afterwards so that when the students' families and friends attend, there is a very professional atmosphere in which they can interact. I also regularly meet with student groups to find out, again, what are their aspirations for the college and what's missing. I think what keeps you up awake, that saying is, why do some students begin and never finish? And why do some students never begin? And I think those are the things that we really try to wrestle with. How can the college change? We're talking about the wonderful 90-year history that we've had, and undeniably, it's touched a number of lives in this community and beyond. We know we have had international presence too, but there are still too many students who don't feel that they belong here, and I think that's what we will tackle next. How can we become an even better organization so that everyone feels there is something for me to learn here and to grow here and to contribute to here? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And just for our audience, as you see in the background, we have pictures that basically defines Muscatine Community College through the 90 years. So as we are talking about the history of Muscatine Community College, the audience are also seeing that history also by looking at the pictures that are also moving behind us too. I know that you are doing also a great job connecting the college with the community. It's not, I will say, it will not be strange to me, for example, as a person, if I go to an event in the community and see you there, because really you are always there. You are participating in community events and taking the college into the community and representing us. Why it's important to Dr. DeWinter to do something like that?
I think it's the most important thing that a president can do is to represent the college and to be open to others' ideas about the college. And where is a better place than where everyone else finds themselves? Just yesterday I was at a concert, lessons of carols at Wesley United Church, and I sat next to a couple that I had known. They volunteer at MCSA 3 days a week. And in fact, Marilyn is a graduate of Muscatine Community College. And we struck up a conversation about Dina Dawson, who is a student, of course, here. You remember when she graduated, she was our speaker at graduation last year, and she continues to take courses. And she was just so amazed at the journey that she has made. And I know she's been featured in our magazine, and there are so many stories, I think, to tell. And it's my job to be able to give voice to our student stories at different community events. I think we're not just a place where you take classes in a traditional kind of way. If you're preparing to go to University of Iowa or St. Ambrose University, that's just one part of what we do. We host events so that the community can learn about an issue. I was working this morning with a group of English language learners in our McAvoy building, again named after Vic McAvoy, who was a former president at Muscatine Community College and now the foundation director. So Mary Swander, who is Iowa's poet laureate, you've met her too, John, is working with our English language learners, and they are preparing to give a presentation called Fork Tales later in January, and they are telling stories of their food cultures or food traditions in their own cultures.
Wow.
So we have students from Brazil, from Ukraine, from Togo, name the country, you'll find someone there who's on our campus bettering themselves through learning English. And so I can't help myself but go to that class, and just to listen and be part of that energy. So just as I would go to that class, I think it's important that I represent the college in other ways. I'm on the board for Muscatine Center for Social Action, for Crossroads, for the Community Foundation, Aligned Impact Muscatine, all because I think we have a role in making the community better. And that's the role that I can play, to send messages there and to receive messages and bring them back here. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, as our audience are seeing the pictures that represent the history of Muscatine Community College for 90 years, briefly, if I ask you to tell the story of Muscatine Community College, what would you say?
I think the very first story is telling of how the culture of Muscatine Community College, first junior college, right, then community college began. And it's a story of Miss Willetta Strand. So our Strand building, of course, is named after her. She was the first president. She acted as the president for almost 20 years. And so we were established in 1929, 90 years ago. But about 2 years before that, a group of community leaders said, what Muscatine needs is a junior college. And so Willetta Strand single-handedly, I can envision this, you see pictures of her, I can envision her doing this, went from farmhouse to farmhouse and knocked on doors and recruited our first group of students. Now, in 1929, imagine what was happening in the world. You know, there wars are going on, economy is struggling, you know, so for a woman at that time to believe in the power of education so much that she, you know, put herself out there with these families and said, your son or daughter needs to join us in this very first class. I don't know what it's going to look like. They didn't have a campus at that time. You know, they were in different locations in Muscatine at the Franklin Center and at the old telephone company building and, you know, several other locations. But she was able to impart this trust, I think, that if you come here, we do our very best to help you reach your goals. And she was able to recruit 51 students, and we needed to have a minimum of 50 in order for the state of Iowa to say you can be your own community college. And I think that clarity of vision that she had really set the tone for what the college has become. Over the years, the college has gone up and down in enrollment, in the types of programs that we serve, in the universities with whom we partner. All of that has changed, but that's because the community around us has also changed. In 1945, at the end of the Second World War, there was no graduating class. We didn't have enough students, and the future of Muscatine Community College was up in the air, but it came roaring back again. The GI Bill, of course, made it possible for the soldiers who had served overseas to come back and retrain, and that was something that we did. And now we have a veteran support officer to help our current veterans come back and get access to their benefits and reacclimate, you know, after having served in the military, to come back to the community college. I think another critical moment was when Muscatine Junior College became Muscatine Community College and became part of the sister schools of Eastern Iowa Community College. And that was, again, the state of Iowa legislated that. They said that you have to come together as colleges and really make the most of the resources that you have. So it was at that time that Clinton Community College and Scott Community College and Muscatine became one under the umbrella of Eastern Iowa. And I think there are still people who attended when we were Muscatine Junior College and have fond and strong feelings about that. And there was no doubt, you know, that Willetta Strand made this happen. But I think now, with the support of these other colleges and with the support of the Chancellor, Dr. Doucette, we are a stronger institution and a stronger grouping of institutions with 400 employees who are all dedicated to student success, and the talent that we have within the larger organization, I think, really situates us well for the future. I think another thing that I'll share with you, and John, I know you worked on this too, is we have this rich history of international studies. And we have hosted groups of students from, again, almost every country, African nations, you know, to European nations, and probably everywhere in between, through sister cities and also through grants that we were a part of, the Community Colleges for International Development. And I think that really left its mark on not just the college, but in the community too, because the model was the students had a local family that would take care of them. And so they've remained in touch. I know that many times, you know, people like Walter Conlon have been asked to attend family events, weddings, and things like that in other countries. And so you can just see that the college was here to help to make those connections. I recently interviewed Jeff Armstrong, who's again another former president, and he was really, I think, key in setting up the CCID relationships. Part of the model was for community colleges especially to work with the faculty to bring back knowledge and new ideas from different countries into the classroom, because a typical community college student will only stay at a community college for 2 years. Sometimes we don't even have them that long, and so the faculty has longer stability and more longevity, and they see many more students. So Jeff Armstrong said to me, he wondered if this was really working, if this model was working. And a former professor, I think it was Carol Cunningham, she taught in your department, right? And she taught business and I think AOS, yeah.
Administrative office.
Yeah, so she was teaching Microsoft Office, that package, and he happened to walk down Gackle Hall, and he overheard her lecture. And she was showing students how to use a PowerPoint presentation with material from Drohobych. And he had to stop walking. He just had to listen in on the conversation. And he said at the end of the lecture, she said, "Are there any questions?" And the students had many questions, but they weren't about how to set up a PowerPoint. They were about her Drohobych experiences. And then Jeff said, "I knew that what we had envisioned worked." So I think there's so many different things that Muscatine Community College has been a part of, and those are some of the stories that I would lift up as we review our 90 years.
Yeah, and those are great stories, because that will show exactly that the history of Muscatine Community College and the heritage, and us as a community are, I would say, no strangers to being part of our community, because that's a reflection on our community too,
Yes.
because we are part of that. So far this year, if we share with our audience, for example, some of the events that Muscatine Community College decided to be part of, or perhaps celebrated the 90 years. Can we talk about some of those events?
Yes,
please?
you bet. So we started out the year hosting a business after hours in partnership with the Chamber, and we had a wonderful turnout of our business partners. We had many of our archival materials on display. And then contrasting that, we had demonstrations of our new virtual reality room. So you can see that difference of technology, and then black and white photos. So that was really wonderful. We also partnered with Civic Chorale and hosted their holiday concert just a few weeks ago in Strand Hall in our theater area. And we were able to host a reception there. And of course, Jan Phillips is a faculty emerita. She was a wonderful music teacher here at the college, now retired, but still very engaged in the community, still the director of the Civic Chorale. Chad and I produced a video also documenting the 90-year history, and perhaps we can put a link up to that. I know that it's available on YouTube. I think it's important to capture the history, because, when we leave, we want that to stay, and we want people to build on that. In the spring, I mentioned that we'll be putting on a performance with our English language learners and Mary Swander, the poet laureate. That's going to happen later in January. Then in February, we will be having 2 events. One is we're hosting the Alexander Clark lecture series. And what we've asked our speaker to really focus on this year is the history of Susan Clark. And I think that's going to be important, of course, with the recent decision, the naming of the school, the anniversary of the 19th Amendment for the women's right to vote, and then our 90th anniversary. I think all of that, fits in perfectly. And then at the end of February, we are hosting an event called MCC Legends. And this will be our third year of hosting this. So in this rich history, there have been key people who've really made a difference. And this year, we're honoring community legend Marv Krieger and Evelyn Shawland. And Evelyn, of course, was a mayor in Muscatine many years ago. She no longer lives in the area, but I'm sure she still thinks about her time here very, very fondly. And people who know her here think of her fondly. They both attended Muscatine Junior College. In fact, Marv played basketball here for a semester before he transferred to Iowa State University. And now, of course, he's returned and is a leader in the community with Krieger Motors, and his sons and now grandsons are working with him. So if it hadn't been for key people like Marv and Evelyn, and then before that, Roy and Lucille Carver, and before that, Stan and Helen Howe, again, we wouldn't be the strong community college that we are today. You know, they saw something in us maybe before we saw it in ourselves, and they have been very, very strong supporters. So we will be honoring them at a ceremony at the Merrill Hotel at the end of February.
Excellent.
Yes,
Excellent. Great
yes,
news
yes.
for us and for our audience. And again, it's as you mentioned, you know, those are very defining moments, I would say, for our college here to be proud of, because at the end, regardless what we do, the centerpiece for us is our students' success, and everything we do is basically we are doing it for sake of our students.
Yes.
Um,
Can I tell you one more thing?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, go
It
ahead.
just came to mind. In April, we actually received a grant from the state of Iowa Humanities Department, Cultural Affairs, to erect a public sculpture on our campus. And it's going to be unique, John. So we're having, speaking of students' engagement, so our agriculture students, agriculture is one of our signature programs, along with our welding students, are putting together, I think it might be 2 or 3 sculptures actually, that show the history of agriculture in Iowa.
wow.
And they are working with a local artist, John Vanderwalle, who will help them and teach them how to put their vision into a piece of art.
Wow.
And so imagine that.
I cannot wait to see
I
that.
know, I know. So that's going to be in front of Geckel Hall, where, of course,
Wow.
you teach and where
Yeah,
the agriculture
yeah.
department is located. But I think for those students to have that experience, working cross-departmentally, you know, making something that's important to the history of the college, being informed by an artist, I think will be something they'll remember for many years.
Definitely, it will be. I cannot wait now to see that.
Yes, yeah.
So, yeah. Your vision. Let's say 5 years from now, 10 years from now, as a president of Muscatine Community College, can we perhaps maybe talk a little bit about that? Where would you like to take the college 5 years from now? What would you like to see different, for example? If again, if you don't mind
Yes,
talking
no,
about the
no,
future now.
No, not at all, not at all. I think what's really important, we're at a critical time, I think, in our community colleges, not just in Muscatine, not just in Iowa, but nationally. Unemployment, of course, is very, very low, and so we don't see as many students as we have seen before. I would like to see us attract the students who have not normally come here through some innovative ways in which we offer our programs, whether that is working with English language learners to learn a skill as they're learning the language, to work with our high school graduates, our HiSET completers, who are also, you know, ready to do so much more, but they But in our typical system, they haven't been allowed to take business classes yet until they're done with one thing. I think this kind of sequential and linear approach has to be looked at again to see is that really the best way that we can serve our students and to ignite their passions as early as possible. The students we mentioned who typically don't come here or don't go anywhere, that number is still much too large. And so how can we support their coming here? How can we work more closely with the middle schools or with the high schools, the teachers, the counselors and staff there to prepare the student for Muscatine Community College? I think we'll be doing things earlier. We'll be doing things more collectively even within ourselves, you know, business department, collaborating with another department or another several departments, getting students involved in community projects where they can have an impact on the community, us working with other community organizations. I just had a meeting this morning with our colleagues from Bayer and talking about what are their needs and how can we help to resolve them, because they have wonderful jobs in the community, and we have wonderful training, and so how can we match that together? So those are the kind of things I think that will really be changing. Accelerating programs, you know, the traditional 16-week semester, you know, that may look different for our adult students or for other students who for whom that format does not work.
And the very important point that you brought up is that, you know, we are blessed in our community. I mean, a community of our size here in the United States will not have, I would say, what we have. Yeah. We have great companies, great businesses in our community that can be very supportive of the college. Yes. And I assume what we are doing here. And it's really good that you are engaging them in this discussion. As we are going towards or approaching the end of the show, I would like also to give you some time to share wherever we miss. For example, because I don't know if I ask about I try to go pieces by pieces here and talk about the past, the present, and the future, but perhaps maybe I missed something here, asking about certain things that you would like to highlight. Yes. As part of that show here. So feel free, please, to share whatever you would like to share with us, so our audience will know more of our history as a college here in Muscatine for 90 years already.
Yes. Thank you, John. I have spent some amount of time looking at archival material to prepare for this 90th year so that I had some understanding of what we've done. Part of that research was looking at videos that were produced for our 75th anniversary. And the theme that I started hearing and then reading in the materials was how strong the faculty of MCC was and continues to be. So when you talk to alumni, that is the thing that they will lift up immediately. They will mention the name of a faculty person and perhaps the joy that they found in learning from this person. So I'll give you an example. Max Collins, of course, the author here locally, also came here. His wife did as well. And there's a clip of him talking about his time here at Muscatine Community College. And he went on several other steps. In fact, he was selected to be part of the writing workshop at University of Iowa, which is a very elite program. So I have watched this now over and over, and maybe I can almost give it to you verbatim, but he said, the faculty that I had at all of the other places did not match the faculty that I had here. And in fact, he specifically talks about Keith Larson, after whom this building, Larson Hall, is named. And he said that the understanding of the material and the understanding of the students in his class was unmatched. He said there was not another professor when he went to university that was at that level. And he said, when I went to graduate school, then finally the faculty's qualities came up to what I was used to at Muscatine Community College. Isn't that amazing?
That's definitely amazing.
That I hear about so many different people. A student just came into the office on Friday. I was talking to Lisa, kind of standing in the reception area. He came through the door. He said, "Are you the president?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "I just stopped to tell you how wonderful my professors were this semester." And he explained a couple of examples. And that was just like Max Collins talking about Keith Larson, right? That just continues. We are blessed, I think, with people who, not only understand their subject material. Of course, that's common, right? At all the community colleges, that is the requirement. But the way that you convey that material and how much you care for the students, I think, is unique to us.
It's sometimes, to listen to you sharing the history of our great college with me and with our audience. It's definitely something that makes us feel very proud to be part of this institution and this great institution. I really thank you for everything you do because you came to MCC and things started to change too. And as you said, like the buildings, the improvements, the facility, I mean, all the things that we started to see, we started to think that we are really at the university. Because, for example, like going to the library and see the coffee shop inside the library made a huge difference on the atmosphere of that place. Now I see more and more students out there using the building, using the resources that we have, and so thank you for your great vision again in bringing all this to our college. And as I always say, you are always welcome to this show to share whatever information you would like us to share with our audience too. But as I always say, we always bring you the best to share the story and a great story with you. So as we always say, if you have any question, please call me at 563-288, I'm sorry, I'm trying to give you my cell phone number. Let me repeat, 563-288-6064, or you can email me at jdabeet@eicc.edu. Till next time, Muscatine, bye-bye.